Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
Another day, another Gina Carano video.
Yeah.
We actually haven't talked about Gina Carano in a couple of days, and there's been some movement on this because she came out in an interview and said she found out that she was fired the same time the rest of us did.
Right. And sadly, this is becoming a more and more common occurrence.
Yeah, not just with Disney, but with other studios, with publishers, with game developers. A lot of people are finding out that they're fired via blogs, via Twitter. And in this case, yeah, they didn't tell her. They did tell her she was kind of, skating thin ice, but they did not tell her she was actually done. She found out the same time the rest of us did.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that and talk about, what is kind of happened since then. In fact, it could be argued that Gina Carano has become sort of a conservative martyr. The attempt to cancel her has actually made her more popular and more powerful on social media. Mm-hmm. It's probably not what they intended at Lucasfilm.
Strike me down, Darth.
I know, right? So she's become like Obi-Wan Kenobi, I guess. I don't know. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 176,000 subs, I think.
Ooh, I don't know.
Hoping for 200,000 soon. We would like to be more powerful. Get us to 200.
That's right.
Get
more
us to 200.
Power.
So yeah, I put this up this morning. We saw it last night. Actually, you kicked it over to me last night, and I kind of mused on this situation, this trend of firing people via social media.
Yeah.
And finding out via Twitter that you no longer have a job. Mm-hmm. So there might be some more information coming along later today. We'll see what's going on. Rumors.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Before we get into this other part about this being an ongoing issue with cancellation and people not finding out they're gone until they're, find out at the same time as everybody else. One thing that was interesting though is, what I looked back at the tweets that started this, whole thing, that the issue about the pronouns and things. Mm. And her answer was basically, I understand why you want it done. I respect that. I don't want to do that, but I 100% support you and support, you should never be, I'm anti-bullying and I 100% support you. Oh, you have right there. Mm-hmm. Okay. Pedro, yes, Pedro and I spoke and he helped me understand why people were putting them in their bios. I didn't know before, but I do now. I won't be putting them in my bio, but good for all of you who chose to. I stand against bullying, especially the most vulnerable, and freedom to choose 100%. So nothing she said there was what they accused her of. And that's what I'm mad about. She's basically saying, I think people have the right to choose, and I'm 100% against bullying, and I'm agreeing with you in the fact that I don't think it's okay that you be bullied for this, but I don't want to put them in my bio. There's nothing that she said there that was terrible. And the reaction to what she said just shows you who the real bullies are.
Yeah, the reaction was disproportionate. And, I mentioned that in this article again, too, that you pointed out several Lucasfilm employees do not have pronouns.
They do not. And they were not canceled for it.
No. So it does seem like Gina Carano was singled out because she had that whiff of conservatism about
That's
her.
What the whole thing's about.
Yes.
I am pretty sure. If I were, when you're looking at things and you're looking at everything equally and you're sitting there looking and comparing and contrasting, the only thing I see different is that she leans conservative. We didn't see James Earl Jones get his birthday mentioned. He leaves conservative, but they were okay to use race the next day with Martin Luther King Day and things like that. And that's what's disproportionate here. And nothing she said warranted the bullying she got. And then the media ran with, well, she put beep bop or boop bop beep in her pronouns. And it's like, yeah, because you guys wouldn't stop harassing her. And then you said that was her making fun of trans people. You didn't mention what had happened prior or all the hate comments, people telling her to die and calling her foul names and all the bullying she took first. Bullying's bullying no matter what. I don't care what side you're on. If you have to stoop to that kind of behavior, that you're calling people, that you're telling people to die or they're calling them names and everything else because they don't do what you want, that's bullying. How is that any different? You're like, oh, we're against fascism. It's like you're acting like the fascists you claim you're against.
Which is what she was calling out. That was the point of the Instagram.
That is the point. She worded it better.
Whether or not it was, smart to invoke the Holocaust in current year.
But you know what? In her defense, I would have thought it was okay too, considering how Pedro does it all the damn time.
Right.
So, I mean, she probably was thinking, now why people are like, well, she was told not to say this stuff and she kept doing it. In that regard, if they told her not to keep tweeting, okay, yeah, she should have stopped tweeting. But the flip side is, why should she have to silence herself and not say anything while other people are allowed to say whatever the hell they want? And, I get it, because I'm a person that fights back too. So I totally get why she fought back and just, I get it.
Yeah.
I would do the same, most likely.
Yeah, and she's an MMA fighter, so she's like, this is what she does. She fights, and nobody's basically up until this point, wrong thinkers, whether you're legitimately a wrong thinker or you're just you've gotten the scarlet letter, you're supposed to basically roll over and take it.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. This double standard about bullying. Bullying's bad. That's what she said. I am against bullying. So basically, she's like, I don't necessarily want to put the pronouns in my bio, but I understand where you're coming from, and I'm 100% against people bullying you for it, and I'm 100% in support of your choice. Is what she said. Nothing she said warranted the reaction. She actually, I thought she handled it very well, but it turns out because they were mad because it wasn't the statement Disney wanted them, or no, Lucasfilm. I don't even say Disney.
Yeah,
Lucasfilm wanted her to give.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. So this is where it came from. She had an interview with journalist Barry Weiss, who she herself left the New York Times because she said that, the Times was corrupt, basically, and that cancel culture was rampant. And, she's actually written a piece called How to Fight Anti-Semitism, Barry Weiss.
Right, because isn't she Jewish?
I'm pretty sure she's Jewish. I'm pretty sure she is. And she said, she was on the receiving end of a cancellation attempt. I remember this because she used to be.
I remember this too.
Yeah, she was a New York Times journalist, and she said the Times is corrupt. Because the Times basically has Twitter running it. That's the
problem. That's what happened with Star Wars. The Star Wars Twitter account. Now the UK one, I won't say that for, but the American one for sure has some far left agenda driven person running it.
Oh yeah, and
there's no doubt. Just in the way they behaved and what they will acknowledge, what they won't acknowledge, how they defended certain bad actions, but then condemned things that weren't even really bad. There's clearly an agenda there.
Well, even the PR statement firing her sounded like it was written by a butthurt fifth grader. It didn't sound like an official.
Her abhorrent comments.
They're abhorrent. We're never gonna ever work with her again. Never ever.
Dear white people.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it came across. It was ridiculous, and it went through IO9 on Gizmodo. So anyway, this is what she said to Barry Weiss. She said, earlier on last year, before The Mandalorian came out, they wanted me to use their exact wording for an apology over pronoun usage. I declined and offered a statement in my own words. And that's, I believe, what we are reading here. Did
Pedro Pascal have to run all his comments about, comparing Trump supporters to Nazis and Confederates? Did he have to run all that through Lucasfilm and the Star Wars official channels before he was allowed to post them?
No, because he's on the right side of history.
Exactly.
He's on the right side of history.
And again, I want to remind people who come and listen to this and be like, that's because you're just butthurt Trump supporters. Actually, no.
No, we're not.
We always leaned left. Now you are libertarian and I am independent because I think both extremes can be full of crap, but we still lean more towards the left, I think.
I am tired of partisan politics.
I am too. And I'm
destroying this country.
Doubly tired of cancellation culture, cancel culture, because it is absolutely stupid and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the double standards and hypocrisy. And then they go around saying like it's okay that this happens. Like this is the antithesis of what the country is about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's destroying the country. I mean, we're tearing each other apart. I mean, we really are. So she went on to say, I made clear I wanted nothing to do with mocking the transgender community, and I was just drawing attention to the abuse of the mob in forcing people to put pronouns in their bio. Again,
100% agree with her.
Many Lucasfilm employees do not have pronouns in their bio.
Right, yes. The ones who are yelling.
Pablo Hidalgo.
Including Christina Ariel, who made the comments that were under question.
Yeah.
She does not have them in her bio as well.
She said it was heartbreaking. Well, she talked about how they basically cut her out of the promotion then for Mandalorian Season 2. And we saw that with that official artwork that took her out.
Again, Pedro Pascal came under fire for his comments against Republicans, but he wasn't cut out of the promotional tour.
Right side of history. I'm sorry, right side. He's on the right side of the Lucasfilm story group. He's on the right side of Kathleen Kennedy. Mm-hmm. That was heartbreaking. I didn't want to take away from the hard work of everyone else who worked on the project, so I said, okay, that they took her out of the promotion. That was the last time I was contacted about any type of public statement or apology from Lucasfilm. I found out through social media, like everyone else, that I had been fired. So she found out through Gizmodo, I guess, because they got the statement that she'd been fired.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. I mean, that would be so insulting. Now, I want to remind you too that during this, and she was being fired and stuff, Shop Disney was still selling the Cara Dune merchandise.
Yes, they were.
And they had no problem taking the money for it, and a lot of it sold out because people went and ran to buy it because they're like, oh, hell to the no, I better grab it while I can get it cheap.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about this. I'm sure there will be videos forthcoming in the future. Maybe if we can glean a little more information as to what Disney actually knew. But I can't imagine the executives would have been terribly happy the day before their Q1 earnings call to have canceled Disney Plus trend.
I get the vibe from people we talk to that Lucasfilm is running amok and the main Disney doesn't know what the hell's going on half the time. Because I know that the behavior that's coming out of Lucasfilm would not be allowed at Disney proper. They need social media, guidelines in play that are equitable and apply to everyone. Mm-hmm. They can't just say, oh, you violated something, but somebody else could do the exact same thing and then they're fine because they happen to agree with what we think. We think that with the Leslie Headland thing we're hearing too, behind the scenes, Disney didn't know that they were going to do that. Heck, they were in a lawsuit about Weinstein and she was his personal assistant.
Yeah.
They had to do some things that had to be done first. And then it just suddenly got announced in like a Hollywood Reporter or Variety or something, that she was going to be beginning a Star Wars show, which was apparently news to them. And now this, I don't think they, from my understanding, didn't all seem to know about it. Or it wasn't supposed to go down the way it went down.
I can't imagine Disney would have given their blessing to this the day before the earnings call when they knew what the backlash would be like. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just the whole thing. It really, at the end of it, it just feels like Lucasfilm is completely out of control. The only reason The Mandalorian is coming together as good as it is because we've got Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni running it and they actually give a shit. But everything else in Lucasfilm, the High Republic, the sequel trilogy, Galaxy's Edge, it's all just freaking up in the air. This is why the brand is damaged.
And the thing is, you have a lot of people that are out there that, they believe that you can vote how you want, think how you want. They aren't for cancel culture. Right. And that's where we stand because it's like, if you vote differently than me, that's fine. If you believe differently than me, that's fine. That's okay. You're allowed to. You have that right to do that. This whole idea that because you don't agree with me, you should be canceled and have no voice ever, no job. Hell, go kill yourself is what these people will tell you, et cetera, et cetera. I cannot condone ever because I understand people have different ideas. And you know what? We've always been allowed to have them. That's kind of the charm of the country, part of the charm.
Yeah, are you hurting anybody? Or your opinions actually? I mean, they were trying to make a case with J.K. Rowling that her tweets were literally killing people.
They aren't literally killing people.
Is that a spell? Is Twitter the new killing curse? Apparently. Twitterati! And it's just exploding. Oh God, I'm canceled.
But I've seen these people. I've seen these people tell kids to go kill themselves because they didn't draw a character the way they wanted them to.
Yeah, it's Twitter culture is toxic. It came from Tumblr. And again, there was nothing inherently wrong with Tumblr as a platform and Twitter as a platform. It's that group of people that took to those platforms that poisoned them.
It's funny because they're the ones going around calling everybody else toxic when they themselves are the ones, being the most toxic of everyone.
Yeah, I mean, this is this pattern of dismal Disney news associated with Lucasfilm. I mean, we had, the Pablo Hidalgo debacle.
Did you read the under the picture?
Yes, Pablo Hidalgo looking quite sad. It's raining.
Oh my God.
He's contemplating porgs.
I knew it had to be you.
He is.
Is that what you put as a caption?
He's thinking about who's having sex with whom in the High Republic.
He's supposed to be. I think he's supposed to be. Look, I'm contemplating everything, but you're like, you just look sad.
He does. Doesn't he look tired?
Yeah, there you go. Not everybody's gonna get that joke. But
he needs a loft cat.
That's right.
From Galaxy's Edge, guys, come to Galaxy's Edge and buy a loft cat and all the accessories.
There you go.
$99.99.
That's right.
Yeah, but we had Pablo Hidalgo, so we had that debacle. Again, that should not have happened, where he's mocking a Star Wars YouTuber with, like 1 million, 2 million subs.
I know, because he cried about Luke Skywalker.
Because he was so happy.
But he had a good reason, though. It meant something to him personally, and if you follow the channel, you would have known that. Yeah,
dude went through cancer, and Luke Skywalker helped get him through, and Pablo Hidalgo, who's supposed to be a spokesperson for Lucasfilm, openly mocked him on social media.
Yeah, now, my understanding is he had to apologize. He was made to apologize, and he was given a chance to apologize and come right back with no repercussions.
This is his apology face, right?
Gina Carano It says, no, right. Gina Carano is like, this is troubling because you're not allowed to have an opinion unless it's a certain type of opinion, and it's like you're trying to turn people against each other. And I don't want to put pronouns in my bio, but I respect that you do. Somehow it means that you're a hate group and that you're the worst person ever, and she should be just fired without any notice. But Pablo Hidalgo still has a job.
Yep. So Pablo Hidalgo is still there. Christina Ariel, who, what happened, again, the story, the media is totally in on this. This is crazy. This is how this works. Christina Ariel, the reason she was getting pushback wasn't because she was black. She was getting pushback because she made some tweets during the beginnings of BLM that a lot of people found to be very racisty. And they came up as she got hired on the High Republic show. And instead of saying, hey, you know what, I was pretty heated, maybe I shouldn't have said that, so whatever. No. Star Wars' response to it was like, you're just attacking her because you're a racist.
And we support her.
Meanwhile,
Carano had been getting death threats and all kinds of things. So she has screenshots of all of it for months, and they did nothing.
Because she's not on the right side of history. Because
she doesn't vote the way they want.
She's not on the right side of the Lucasfilm story group. So that's what happened there. Now, this is a troubling trend that people are getting fired. Celebrities are basically getting fired over social media. I did not watch Scoob, because I normally I like the Scooby-Doo movies. Now this one looked like
I didn't watch it either.
I didn't really care.
I heard too much about it. I was like, nope, I'm not going to like it.
But Matt Lillard found out that he was not going to be Shaggy in the theatrical release because it was on social media. I'd be like, what the hell? This happens
so often now. You see a lot of people like, I found out about it at the same time you did.
Yeah. And that's I mean, granted, when you're a voice actor or you're an actor, any kind of actor, you're a contractor. You're
right.
hired for the gig. You come in, and it might be in the case of Gina Carano, she was hired for season by season.
Right, but you know what? They work with you directly. They work with you every day. They owe the person at least a phone call to tell them, we're going in a different direction or whatever.
Not if you're a Nazi.
Nazis don't get phone calls. Do?
Matt Lillard did nothing. Matt Lillard just wasn't a big enough name for a theatrical release, I guess, even though he was Shaggy in the movies.
And even though he used to be in movies before.
And he was in movies that did pretty well. Yeah. I thought it was a really shitty thing to do.
It was a shitty thing to do.
And I think it's, regardless of how you feel about Gina Carano, the least you could have done is had the balls, if nothing else. Okay, if you don't feel like you owe her the courtesy, at least you could have had the balls to pick up the phone and call her and tell her she's done.
No, that's hate speech because the force is female.
Yeah, right. Could have had.
She has all the balls.
She has all the balls, and it's actually working out pretty well for her. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but I just want to say in comics, because worked in comics for years, this is actually very common. Comic book creators find out that they're no longer on a book because for those of you who aren't familiar with how the comic book industry works or how shops order their books, they get a previews catalog, and that's the shop owners go through and they order the books they want from Diamond Previews. Now it's all changed, but back they ordered from previews, and those books were solicited like 3, 4, 5 months in advance. And a lot of times creators would go through and be like, "Hey, I'm working on Catwoman." And I'm like, "Oh, 4 issues from now, I'm not working on Catwoman. How the hell did that happen?"
Yeah.
Because that means you're fired. They just didn't get around to telling you yet. And that's how these people find out that they're no longer needed, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, they got to be better about that. But yeah, she's, according to Newsweek, after this, she wound up picking up like 300,000 new followers.
Well, what's interesting? We talked about before with the Google trends.
Yeah.
And back in January, High Republic was chanting like they were barely trending at all. They were like a blip above the flat line. Like, I mean, we're talking very minor. Mm-hmm. Gina Carano was way above them, and then The Mandalorian was way above her. So Gina Carano and The Mandalorian were trending, and we're talking not even a month ago. And High Republic was barely even, it was released and it had all this fanfare and supposedly the New York Times bestseller list. No one was talking about it. No one cared. No one was searching for it.
No.
But they were searching like heck for Gina Carano, and that was before they got rid of her.
Yeah. Cara Dune, as far as I can tell, is the second most popular character on the show, as far as I can tell.
People were all excited because they thought they were going to do Rangers of the New Republic, and she was going to be on that show, and the people wanted her to have it. What amuses me greatly is when the character came out, when Gina Carano and Cara Dune appeared, everybody was happy for a while because they're like, finally, we got a strong female lead who is, not this like stick figure body type who can kick your ass, and she was a good character who had motivation. It wasn't just that her characterization wasn't that she was a strong female character.
Yeah.
She actually had a good characterization and stuff. And it was funny because immediately, I remember it was Anthony tried to say, well, the Phantom Menace hate her. Here they are mocking her, and it wasn't even it was a parody account.
Yeah,
because the Phantom Menace and a lot of people who like Star Wars fans all over the place loved her, and they loved her character because she was a good character. But that's bad, because then what can Twitter leverage against you when you agree with them?
Yeah,
you say you misogynist, racist. Wait, you agree?
Yeah.
You're still trolls. We got to find a reason. Wow, she didn't put pronouns in her bio, so that's why she's terrible. You all suck.
They were looking for a reason to get rid of her. I mean, you want to talk about, politics running amok. It's very clear when you've got your own employees violating the same rules that you set for, Gina Carano. It's very clear that there's a political bias at Lucasfilm, and that they are, targeting, purging conservatives, whatever. And I think that might be on a bigger scale at Disney, but not to the extent it is at Lucasfilm. Mm-hmm. Let's put it that way. And she put a target on herself, and they might have told her to lay off the tweets or whatever, but
why should she when Pablo Hidalgo was out there, he was saying Pedro Pascal was out there like constantly tweeting political shit, like all the damn time.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And look, I don't think this can be fixed. I know there were rumors about like, Disney's going to try to get her back. I would never go back.
No.
If I felt I was wronged in that way and I was fired over a blog post, I would never go back.
It's probably better for it. But what's interestingly enough, we don't always agree with people like Pablo Hidalgo or like Pedro Pascal and what they say. Did we say that we wanted like Pedro Pascal fired?
No. I've even said before, I actually think he's a good actor.
Right. You separate the actor from their politics. It's not that hard. People did it for decades.
Yeah, just, if he's tweeting stuff you don't like, just don't follow his social media or whatever. I mean, they said in the past, they used to always say, never meet your heroes. And now I'm like, never read the tweets of your heroes.
Apparently.
Because,
they used to say, don't talk about religion or politics all the time, too. And there was reasons for that. Yeah. Then we are seeing it right here.
We're seeing it now. And I think it's a mess. I think Disney has to get Lucasfilm in line.
I agree. They need, if they're going to put guidelines in that get you fired over like tweets and social media, and they need a social media guideline system set up with clear, instructions, a clear rubric, and it applies equally and evenly to everyone.
Yeah, and if somebody gets gone, the company needs to make a formal statement. They need to contact the person getting gone first. Any other company. I mean, this is what's so freaking ridiculous about.
Well, most of the place you're not allowed to. HR is allowed to just get rid of you without giving you notice.
And they have to have, it depends on the state, but normally the companies I've worked for, they've had to document that they tried. Like on this date, we had a meeting. On this date, we had a meeting.
And we're in a state that's,
at will.
We're in a state that they can get rid of you because you don't like your haircut that day.
California.
If they want to.
Yeah, California is really hard to fire people, I guess.
And because where we're at, it's like they can fire you for whatever. Yeah. And even then, they still, you can go after them if they don't have a clear cut, paper trail. Yeah. And we're in one of the states that have the most, employer friendly laws out there. Mm-hmm. So, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I hope companies realize this is not the right way to do it. Regardless of what you think about Gina Carano, what she said, the fact that Disney would let somebody get fired over social media like that without confronting them, having the balls to confront them directly, being the size that they are, having the reputation that they think they have for themselves, that they want to, is unconscionable. I know how Disney proper handles terminations and all of that. This should not have happened this way. And they could have actually maybe softened the blow a little bit had they sat down with Gina and said, look, this is what's going to happen. Here's what we can do. Here's what you can do. Let's try to at least both come out of this looking better.
Right.
And that's not
And honestly, what she said, I don't find offensive or wrong. I just don't. No. And I've seen far more offensive posts out of other employees at Lucasfilm or Marvel or Disney. And, and then, how about, what's his nuts? It was the comic guy. Republicans could lick his shit covered boot.
Chuck Wendig.
Chuck Wendig. Yeah. I mean, if I were him, I'd be mad. Because he got canned for that.
Yeah.
And then there's other people that leans left, and there are people that are leaning left like him that say it's just as bad, and they don't get canned.
Difference is he was, I think they look at contractor, like comic book contractor.
Right, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If I were him, I'd be mad because it seems
like Pedro Pascal can say
whatever. Now he wasn't saying lick my shit covered boot, but basically he's saying it without saying lick my shit covered boot.
Yeah, just that good portion.
Finesse.
Just that a good portion of the country are Nazis. Yeah, that's all he said.
Yeah, so everybody voted for Trump, which is like half the country.
Yeah. So look, this is a mess. She's, I've said before, and people get so pissed at me about the conservative ghetto comment, but I mean, I think she's going to be fine. I do. I mean, her social media, even if she, maybe doesn't do the big blockbusters or whatever anymore because Hollywood won't touch her. I mean, God, she could go start her own talk show.
You know what, though? I think this is for now. I think things are going to change because it's getting so out of control.
Everybody's in the conservative ghetto at this point. If you're moderate, you're in the conservative ghetto.
I know, and when I don't know if you keep saying that, and I even think that's a little hard. The way you're wording it, I understand why you chose the word ghetto because by definition you're not wrong. But I also think that makes it sound,
No, I want it to sound a little
bit trashy.
I want it to sound that way. The reason I want it to sound that way is because people are put into ghettos not by their own choice. They're basically forced into a situation, a place that they're not allowed to leave by other people. And that's what I'm talking about.
Okay,
like, conservatives are they're backed into a corner and they have to go to their work in conservative studios, go work on conservative websites. And the thing is that the goalpost is moving.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because at this point, anybody who is a little bit right of extreme far left is considered, we've seen the post. If you don't agree with everything we're saying on the extreme far left movement, that's because you're right. And you're on the right side, your right side. And I don't care if you're moderate. Moderates, you have to pick a side. Moderates are just as guilty. They're alt-right too. So basically, 90% of the country, probably higher than that, you've just labeled as the right.
And we're talking about Lucasfilm, right? Remember Revenge of the Sith? Remember what Anakin said? If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
Yeah, that's basically how they act.
Only the Sith deal in absolutes.
Right. And we see the Sith is now called Lucasfilm. Well, it has been Lucasfilm, but say the Sith is now Lucasfilm.
Yeah, it's really...
You live long enough to become what you hate.
I don't have any hope for it. I mean, the only hope I had for Star Wars at this point was Jon Favreau, Mandalorian, and I think the ship has sailed. I think this was the last hope.
Honestly, Favreau should jump ship.
He should, because it's like they're going to come for you next. We're hearing that there's drama behind the scenes over there with the factions and all that. It's
there are factions. I have no doubt of that. If you were on the fence before, this whole situation pretty much proves it.
And I think after her getting canned like this, I think that Lucasfilm is probably going to get a tighter grip on The Mandalorian, and they're going to try to steer it in the story group direction. If I were Jon Favreau, I'd get the hell out.
Yeah, and
go to HBO Max.
Because the High Republic is just doing so well. I mean, they're just knocking out the park. There's so much interest in everything they're doing. Their books cannot stay on the shelves. Their YouTube videos just get millions of. Wait, no, they're not.
Yeah. Tens of thousands of views. We actually get more views on our Star Wars videos than the damn High Republic. In a day.
And they get in weeks.
Yeah, it's pathetic. It's freaking pathetic. Disney, wake the fuck up.
Yeah, that's what I can't understand.
Wake the fuck up.
I'm sitting here like, why is Disney allowing this? Because we've worked with Disney. We've signed contracts with Disney. You aren't allowed to be, if you agreed to your social media guidelines or whatever, you're not allowed to go out and do this. I can't understand why this is being allowed. And we see a lot of similar things at Marvel, but it doesn't seem to be as bad at Marvel. But,
not now after they got rid of Axel Alonso. But it's still bad, but it's not as bad
as it was. Yeah. But Lucasfilm is out of control, and Disney needs to rein it in. And, they're as soon as they get any goodwill, it's like they don't want them to. As soon as they get anything that's going well for them, it's immediately just destroyed. And then that ties back into the factions argument. But these people are out of control. The rules for thee, but not for me is a load of shit. You need to be even. It needs to be clear. This is all bad. And they got one hell of a black eye over this.
Yeah. And it's going to grow. I mean, there were people that were kind of on the fence about it, but seeing how this went down, and seeing how her social media is blowing up, there's going to be more people coming out and being like, we're not even going to play ball with Disney anymore. We're not going to go anywhere. Look at Zack Snyder. You know, there's rumors that Zack Snyder could potentially do a Star Wars movie. And he's even like, I don't even know what Star Wars is anymore. It's moving on. Like, you're going to lose your opportunity to bring in top talent to fix Star Wars because they're going to stay as far the fuck away from Lucasfilm as they can.
Well, we were hearing from people in Hollywood that weren't tied to Disney, that there was a lot of people who did not like The Last Jedi, who thought it was crap what they did, who thought it was a bad movie, but they wouldn't say anything because they knew if they said something they'd get pushback. But there was a lot of people who thought it was shit. Yeah. Real quick before we wrap this up, you know what makes me sad is Cara Dune character I really loved. Because I loved everything about her because she was kick-ass female that they claimed they wanted, they got, but it's as long as it isn't her. Yeah. Gina Carano is can kick your ass, and she's not a twig. Because I'm so tired of seeing stick figure people. You know, she wasn't like that, and she could kick your ass, and she was built, and she was awesome, and I love that. I thought Gina Carano did a great job with the character. In the finale of last season. With the gun thing, and that was hilarious. And I just, and her and the other women that were in the final thing, I actually didn't even catch on to part with the episode. It's like, oh, it's all women. And I had to point out to you, because I was so into it, and it didn't even dawn on me, which is how it should be, that they're all women, because they're just good characters and you love them. I just thought, her and the other actresses all seem to get along great, and a lot of those other actresses do not have pronouns in their bios, by the way. I checked. But it's just sad, because she was such a great character, and, I don't think you can recast this and have it work.
They're at this point, like,
should they?
Recasting Cara Dune would be the biggest
insult to injury. You already done fucked up. Sorry, Mom.
You can't unfuck it.
No, trust me. There's no way to undo that.
No, it's.
You don't even just stop making the jokes.
I'm trying to run through my head of you. No, you can't. You can't do it. Time travel.
The only way is time travel. We don't have a way to do that yet.
Yeah. So that's like Back to the Future. Marty got unfucked, and that's why he disappeared from the photo.
Right. So if someone's from the future listening to this, you need to go back and unscrew this up.
Okay. You could. Yeah. I don't know, guys. I think this is it. I think this is the kiss of death for Star Wars. We got another Star Wars video coming in later, and if this is true as well,
it makes total sense.
It makes total sense.
They just really want to like shoot themselves in the foot.
I can't even. Like, guys, you just seriously, like, stop it. Just stop. You had a good thing going. What the hell did you do? You blew it up.
No, they're going to keep.
They blew it up.
If rumors are to be believed, they're going to keep blowing it up. So.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up?
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.